Hello everyone, it's Dio from Firm But Fair Gaming, bringing you another Diablo 3 video. Welcome everyone to another Season 25 video. Today we're taking a look at the Demon Hunter and we're going to be focusing on the Speed Bounty build. So of course, bounties are one of the adventure modes that you can go on in Diablo 3 in the multiplayer or single player. It is basically each act. So there's the 5 acts. Each act has 5 quests that you can do, and when you complete them, they give you a bounty cache. Oh my goodness, can't speak this morning. A bounty cache that has act materials, and these act materials. So here you can see Act 1, Act 2, the Rune, the Nightshade, the Tapestry, Angel Flesh, and Holy Water. These are all the different act materials that you can get, and of course these are used in Kanai's Cube. So over here we have our different recipes, so we need those to extract a legendary power there for the page 1. We also need them to reforge a legendary on page 2, and so we need those, and basically that's used in crafting, getting the legendary extracts into the cube, as well as re-rolling an item. So of course the second page there, it'll re-roll a legendary with potentially different stats, and so you want to use that. If you're farming gear and you want to get a specific gear set rolled, then you'll be using the materials in that. So this build is incredibly fast. The reason that it is utilized is because of its ability to just kill everything. And I'll just show you here. I'm just going to jump into, let's go to where Siegebreaker is. So Racket's Crossing, just to show. So it is incredibly fast and efficient at killing things. So here we're just going to get our stats, and I'll go over top of the items and everything as well. So we just nuked the goblin, but just look at how fast we're flying. And this is basically what it's used for, because it can cross incredible amounts of ground as well as kill everything. Like there, we're just flying through. Incredibly fast. Everything's still dying. We're probably leaving a little bit of gold on the ground, but we can easily circle back if you want to. Or if we're rich, then we could just keep going by and just use this to cross all, like the distance of the entire map, and just blow up everything. This just gives an example about how quick it is. I think it's going to take less than a minute to even get to the other side. That was after playing around with the goblin and circling back a couple times. So there, we made it all the way to the end, and that's how fast that is and why it's incredibly useful for bounty runs. So the items that we're using for this speed build is we're actually wearing the Gears of Dreadlands set. And so basically what this is so the 2-piece bonus is gain 4 seconds of momentum when attacking with a primary skill to a max of duration of 20 seconds, and your primary skills deal 10% increased damage. Our 4 pieces strafing against enemies will automatically shoot your last used primary skill and also give you 60% damage reduction while strafing for 5 seconds. While strafing, you gain 8% increased movement speed for each second of momentum, and lastly, your 6 pieces, your primary skills deal 15,000% increased damage. So basically, our primary skill that we're using is Hungering Arrow. That is going to give us our momentum stack, and we're going to try to keep that at 20, and then we're going to be able to strafe around like a madman. Then we're going to have other skills that basically increase our speed, which I will cover later on in this video. And then because this is a farming set, we are using Kimbo's Gold because this is farming, so it's for bounties. So this is going to help give us some survivability. So picking up gold heals us for the amount equal to the gold it's picking up, and also the secondary on this is plus gold, so that's going to help us farm tons and tons of gold. We're going to be wearing 5 pieces of the Gears of Dreadlands set. So obviously that means we have a Ring of Royal Grandeur, which we are using in our cube. We're also wearing gold wraps. So the reason for gold wraps is it's got the secondary of extra gold fine, and also gives us armor equal to the gold that we're picking up. So it's going to give us that extra survivability because we're just going to be all damage and all movement. So the extra survivability is nice. I have on here, I've just been using my strong arm bracers. The bracers, you can just kind of wear whatever you would like on there. So if you need more survivability, you could wear survivability bracers, or if you have other damage bracers, you could wear those. For our rings, I've been using the focus and restraint set. So basically when we hit with a resource generating attack, we get 50% increased damage, and we hit with a resource spending attack, we're going to be dealing 50% increased damage. So we're going to be able to keep that up all the time, which will just give us that extra damage we need to one-shot everything. And then for our pants, we are using Depth Diggers. So this, of course, is because it increases the damage of our primary skills, which is what is going to be shot while we're strafing. Because while we're strafing, due to our set bonus, it's going to shoot our last primary skill. So it'll always be shooting Hungering Arrow. So it'll give us all the damage that we'll need to destroy everything. The boots, of course, rolls out or finishes our 5 set pieces that we're wearing. And then for our bow, our weapon, we're using Yang's Recurve. So this is multi-shot attacks. The unique modifier, the secondary, is that multi-shot attacks 50% faster, and its damage is increased by up to 200%. And it also has the resource cost reduction built into it as well, so that's very useful. And then also for our quiver, we are using the 9th sigil, or series satchel. Sorry, I don't know why I said sigil. And this, of course, it increases the damage of Hungering Arrow, which is what our primary skill that we're using, up to 600%. And that is going to help us one-shot everything on screen as well. For the gems that we're using, so we are using Simplicity Strength because it increases the primary damage of our skills, and that's what our main damage ability is going to be, so we want to use that. And then we are also using Tegak, so we gain increased damage when we spend resource on a channeled skill, and that multi-shot counts as that. And we get armor per stack, so that's going to help us survive. And then I'm also using a boon of the Hoarder for increased gold on killing enemies and giving us the increased movement speed when picking up gold. So again, this is a farm build, so that's why we only need the 1 survivability gem, 1 damage gem, and we're going to be pretty much killing everything anyways, so we don't need to have like a Bane of the Trapped or anything in there. For our legendary, or our soul shards, I have the Sliver of Terror, so this is just to reduce the cooldown, as well as our resource cost, and it gives us that extra gold fine, so we're going to be using that. For the soul shard, I am using the Remnant of Pain, so I have the secondary affix where I gain passability while your movement speed bonus is over 50%, and when you move through enemies, you knock them back and stun them for 2 seconds. And of course, the other one is your critical hit chance is reduced by 15%, but attacks against incapacitated enemies are automatically critical hits. So as we're running through things, we're just going to basically stun them and get the automatic crit on them. For the cube, we are using Engium, so whenever we kill an elite, that's going to reduce our cooldowns by 10 seconds, and for 15 seconds after killing the elite pack, which is going to help give us our abilities back quicker that we're going to be using. Also using Krem's buff belt, so this is going to gain 25% run speed. We lose this effect if we take damage, but we shouldn't be taking any damage, so that is fine there. And then lastly, as previously mentioned, we are using the Ring of Royal Grandeur. For the skills that we're using in this build, so we are using Vengeance Dark Heart, so this is just going to give us increased damage to help one-shot everything on screen. This is going to be one of the cooldowns that's going to be using the effect of Engium. We are using Preparation with Focused Mind to give us more discipline, which is going to be helpful when we're using one of our other abilities. Strafe, so this is the movement speed, or where we're going to get all our movement speed and just spin in a circle. So this is Strafe, and of course it's going to be benefiting from when we get the stacks from our Hungering Arrow from our set. And then we're going to have to use Hungering Arrow in order to keep the movement speed up. We're also using Smokescreen, so this is just to give us increased movement speed. So we're just going to be using that on CD to help fly through the map. Hungering Arrows, this is our primary ability, so this is the one that we got to stack up to the 20 stacks to get our momentum, and then we're going to be strafing, and as we're flying through, we're going to keep just shooting a Hungering Arrow to keep our momentum at 20 stacks. Then lastly, we have Shadow Power here, so we're going to gain some life per hit and increase our movement speed as well. So this build is very movement speed focused, and so that's what we're going to be focusing on for our passes. So we have Tactical Advantage whenever we use Vault, Shadow power smokescreen or backflip, we gain 60% move speed for 2 seconds. Blood Vengeance, your maximum hatred is increased by 25. In addition, gain 30 hatred, 3 discipline when you are healed by health globes. So there's going to be health globes all over as we're killing things, so you can pick those up to just refill our stats there. Awareness, so just in case we happen to get clipped, because we are running just speed, so it's speed and damage and not really survivability, we're just running our second life. If you're doing solo, you could swap this out because your followers, or usually the scoundrels, what we'll have would have a second life there, so we may not need that. And lastly, we're using ambush because we deal 40% additional damage against enemies above 75%. And since we're trying to one-shot everything, that is ideal and will help us do that. So again, just to reiterate the rotation that we're going to try to do, I'm going to go to one of the longer levels that most people hate. If I can find her. Where is Adria? So Adria is generally a long level. So just to show what it looks like. So again, there we go. We're taking off. And we're just flying through this. I'll have to, well, I don't really need that legendary most likely. So I'm trying my best to keep my momentum stacks to 20. Sometimes you're going so fast it does get a little bit hard to click on doors. So you just gotta keep shooting like every couple seconds to keep your stack up. And then you can just fly through. I'm doing my best to keep it up. Oh, well, I guess this is convenient. I'm gonna have to actually stop and loot this. But anyways, you get the idea as we're flying through here, how much speed and ground we can cover. Oh, and of course there's a fault. How convenient is that? So that's just the idea. So we want to keep shooting our Hungering Arrow to get our stack to 20 while we're strafing around. Then we can use our smoke screen to get that increased movement speed as well. Obviously I stopped strafing there, so keeping it 20. Pop our smoke screen extra. Every so often whenever our disciplines get low, we want to use our prep to buff that back up. And we can also use our shadow power there to also get increased movement speed. So that's basically all it is we want to stay near 20, use smoke screen, use shadow power, and be strafing around all at the same time. You can also use this build when you're doing your puzzle rings because it's got the boon of the hoarder and all that. Like you're going to be getting a lot of gold in here. So like already I'm at over 100 million just from the first room. So I'll just quickly run through here. Let's just see how much we get. Probably not going to loot anything. I'm just going to kill everything that's in here. And just loot the gold. Just to see. So there's another 60, 70 million. And of course, if you're doing an ancient puzzle ring, it would be even more. So there is another 150. So now we're at 250. $250, and then what will we get here? Like sometimes with some of these gold find builds, you can get like a billion each run. Most of the time on a gold find build, you'd be like 700 million towards a billion. So there we go, another 70. So we got 325 million gold there just in that run. So this brings us to the end of the Demon Hunter speed build. So this is primarily used for bounties, and you could even use it for Nephrus. If you're going into actual GRs, you would want to swap out Boon of the Hoarder, obviously because it doesn't give you any benefit, and put in your Bane of the Trap, and then you could go through and do your GRs. You would also get rid of the gold wraps and the Kimbos to be more damage items, because again, this is relying on gold dropping, so we probably go back to a Squirts and use Zoe's Secrets as well, and then that would help you with your speeds, and you could probably, like this build can easily do like 110s, and probably even higher if you start augmenting it as well, and depending on your Paragon you can even climb that higher as well. But again, this is primarily used for doing speeds through Nephrus and through the bounties. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know below. Be happy to answer any questions that you have. If you have any variations on a speed build that you use, please share. We'd be happy to to hear those as well. As always, we appreciate any shares, likes, and subscribes. And until next one, have fun and hope you're enjoying Season 25.